When you heap so much blame on the right, and I'll give you an example of this. And again, I hate to always preface the fact that I'm a big, I bow to nobody. You know, I hate Glenn Beck, and I have written enough about this to prove that. Look, I saw David Brock on Hardball. I think it was yesterday, the day before. Talking to Chris Matthews, he didn't challenge him on this, and this is the exact phrasing. He said, Glenn Beck has been responsible, that was the word, no qualifications, been responsible for 3 previous assassination attempts. I mean, this is madness. I mean, really, Glenn Beck is responsible. So if I say that I think that X policy is incredibly dangerous for America, and somebody goes out and shoots the person that is trying to push that policy through, I, by this logic, am therefore responsible. And I think that we have to have a smarter conversation, because, I mean, we've had similar conversations about video games, for instance. People play violent video games, and therefore they are responsible. We've had them about heavy metal music. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, what is the evidence that somebody is, should be responsible for, like, some madman taking or planning an assassination attempt against somebody because they were a fan of Glenn Beck? I mean, this is really tenuous. It seems like
Beck. With Beck, it gets a little less tenuous than with just about everyone else, and I wouldn't have used what David Brock said. I wouldn't. Yeah. The more accurate phrase is that several crazy people have said they were violent because of Glenn Beck, which is not the same thing as Glenn Beck being responsible. Okay. But that did happen. I mean, there are these people. I forget their names, but there's 2 people that at least. Media Matters has posted sort of transcripts of interviews with these people. There's where they said something like, "Well, Beck is the only one who understands what goes on, and yada yada yada." And I think what's interesting about Beck is, again, like we talked about Beck's sort of like persona as something that's not really real, and it's sort of like whenever something like this happens, Beck sort of pulls back in a way that's sort of very conscious. Like I think the day after Monday's show was fascinating. Because he put Martin Luther King, a quote from Martin Luther King about nonviolence on the screen. You know what I mean? Which on some level is like, can't be bad. I mean, it's maybe disingenuous, but it can't ultimately be, on some level that's really a good thing. But I think that, I think that with Beck, some of the things, there's something about Beck's like, way of connecting a lot of different things that does appeal to some crazy people, although I wouldn't say that he's necessarily responsible, and I think that goes too far.
So what I guess the question is what happens when somebody who's a big fan of, I'm not going to name it because I don't think it's fair, but if you're, so I'll just say generically sort of lefty blog who says that, and I mean, I've seen this a million times, of people say that, Fox and Beck and these guys are, and using this phraseology too, that a threat to democracy, and this is a threat to the American, we should, have laws against this, hate speech, etc. Somebody says that, that's absolutely true. Some crazy person says, and I think this is really dangerous, and I worry for my country, and I'm going to go shoot Glenn Beck. I mean, who's therefore responsible? I think the guy who's crazy and shoots Glenn Beck. I don't think the lefty blog should have any for pointing this stuff. The point is, I think you get into a really, really kind of creepy gray area when people are trying to look for silver bullet kind of explanations for things.